So, we got our next triple S tier character, coming very soon to Global Langrisser. And that is Eshean. She's a top tier support DPS, one of the best that's been introduced to us. A very versatile character that can be used in just about anywhere. This girl is a physical attacker that's part of the Glowy, Princess, and Meteor faction that has a choice of being infantry or flyer. Her talent has her attack and defense be increased at the start of her turn. If the number of rating stacks does not reach the upper limit, she gets one stack of it, which lets her do more damage that stacks only up to 3 times, which cannot be dispelled. If the number of rating stacks reaches the max, it'll be removed, but it reduces all her skill cooldown by 5. At the end of her turn, she can use a domination skill. One of them removes 1 stack of radiance, but she can heal herself for 30%. The second, you gain a stack that can boost attacking in of someone for 2 turns. Then the third is the same thing, but you can choose to act against someone. Alright, so a few things that I do want to make clear is that she gains a stack of radiance every round, not every turn. The other thing is that the act again is the only domination skill to have a cooldown, which is 3 turns. The healing is only possible if she has at least 1 stack of radiance, so you're gonna have to always maintain that, which shouldn't be much of an issue. But the attack and in buff is pretty much spammable, so it's a really good way to just keep on stacking her talent. But I do want to show you guys the other skills that she has before I really say anything more. Her 1C, when used, for every radiant stacks, she gets a random buff. She can act again by moving 3 blocks, but if she has 2 or more of her radiant stacks, then she moves 4 blocks instead. When using the skill, she can't use her domination skill right after, and buff duration does not go down. Act again skills are always really good. I'm sure you guys understand that much. Her 2C has a command where allies within 2 blocks has less of a chance of getting crit and takes less range damage. This is also a support skill, which makes her domination skill stronger after using this. Her healing is increased to 80% and can be used on her allies. The second effect not only gives offensive buffs, but also defensive too. Then the last effect should just be mobility increased for 2 turns. The last paragraph are just extra descriptions, so the range of where she can select her allies are 3 blocks, just like the others, and her second effect gives a more detailed stat boost. Something that does really suck about using this is that she has to carry this in order for her to become this pseudo healer. Because if you try to use her healing skill normally, it's only just for herself. So yeah, just be really mindful of that. Otherwise, she can carry some other good skills instead to have her focus more on attacking. With the 3C, it lets her revive as long as she has her talent stacks. So if that happens, she loses them, it reduces all her skills by 5 and heals 30% HP. This skill is a single target that does more damage for every rating stacks on her. If she has 2 or more, she can stun before battle, which cannot be dispelled. If she kills the enemy, she loses her rating stacks, reduces all her skills once more, but can also move 5 blocks afterwards. This girl, Eshean, has tons of ways to fully refresh her skills, which takes no real effort at all. She can easily get her talent stacks, which doesn't even need to be stacked that high at all. An attacker that ramps up her damage, while also playing a strong role as a support character as well. Able to buff herself up, or anyone else, able to act against someone, and is able to heal herself or anyone else if you're carrying her unique 2C. Kinda sucks that you do have to carry it in order for her to pull that off, to heal someone else that's not her. If that's something that you don't need, then she does have other skills to help her fulfill more as a damage dealer. Her 3C is the more tricky to use, believe it or not, because it's one of those hit and run situation. You have to make sure that she can actually pull off the kill, so that way she can run back safely. Not only that, you have to maintain her talent stack so that she has a revive at all times, which shouldn't be difficult to do at all. So all in all, Eshean is going to be a must pull for everyone. She's really consistent at everything that she does. A very versatile support DPS that does so much on her own. Healing, buffing, can act against someone while also being a great attacker, as well as having amazing mobility to top it all off. The only problem is that you need her banner partner for her defense bond, which is going to be Hoffman, and he too will also need Eshean but for his attack bond. Well, technically you don't really need Hoffman for the defense bond, but that just means she won't survive a lot of stuff. So Hoffman, he's part of the Glowy, Strategy, and Meteor faction, who's a physical attacker that can be infantry or lancer. His talent increases attack and defense. At the end of his turn, he can summon his Kingdom Shield, which inherits part of his stats, but if there's already one on the field, then he can summon it within 2 blocks of him, which has a cooldown. What the shield does is that it has immunities to a lot of stuff. When the defense range is specified, you can't use it and lasts for 3 turns. This skill has a skill that reaches 3 blocks wide and 7 blocks long. It has a command that reduces attacking in when the enemy is inside of it. So pretty much, after using the skill, you won't be able to use it again until you have to recast the skill, which is kind of a good thing, because that way in something like in PvP, you don't have to worry about losing turn priority. But to be honest, it could have been better than that. Reducing 50% isn't that much of a difference, especially if they're already buffed up. A bit useful, yeah, I guess, but it isn't anything crazy to be really worried about. I was expecting like lower damage taken for your team, or maybe increase like defense and magic defense when inside of it, so I feel pretty disappointed. He has a 1C that can apply insight or distraction randomly on an enemy when dealing damage. One of them reduces soldier range, and they take fixed damage before actively entering battle for 1 turn, and the other one reduces the hero's range and can't move for 1 turn. Some unique debuffs, it's very interesting, and it's going to pair well with his other skills, and they are AoEs. His 2C, it reaches 3 blocks wide and 5 blocks long. It's an AoE that swaps enemies' position, and then they can only move in a straight line for 1 turn. If the shield command is in range, then you deal a bit more. Then with his 3C, it has a passive that lets him deal more damage if his shield is within 3 blocks. It's an AoE that reaches 3 blocks that makes them unhealable for 1 turn. But if they already have that, then they are stunned. If the shield command is in range, then you deal a bit more. So yeah, there's a reason why no one really talks about this guy. It's not that he's like bad at what he's doing, like I can see the picture, but the problem going into it is that he's going to be way too slow to get anything done in a meta where long legs are everything and tanks having a hard time surviving. That's why I feel like his shield should help just give more defensive stats, because you can attack from outside of its command range if you have ranged attackers. But if you are interested in using him, he's going to be all about slowly going in to be a debuff machine, mainly focusing on like crippling them. So he's going to make it harder for the opponents to properly position right with his 1C and 2C together. Then you got his 3C to stun them. Sadly, his 2C is the only one with a really good range, so it'll be really hard for him to do literally anything else. So I can recommend Clock so that he can just keep on messing with the opponents. Just make sure that you do ban healers, so that he's a lot more effective in that regard. In regular content though, he does have 2 really good single target skills, so he can be a decent attacker. Now the next new character is an SP1, our first SP healer, that is SP Almeda. And with this form, she can do a much better job at that now. Sadly with this form, she becomes a mage. I really wish that she was holy so that she can be paired with Lightbringer. Her talent is pretty much the same, except that she can now dispel some debuffs, which is really good if you think about it. One of her new skills lets her choose 1 to 3 effects, then afterwards, all her support skills get lowered by 1 turn. One of these effects, increasing healing amount, and her talent healing can be triggered again. The second effect can be used to give a buff that applies 2 debuffs when actively attacking for 2 turns. Then the last one is used on 1 enemy that does small AoE damage that applies a strong debuff. So yeah, the first effect, you will be using more for the extra healing. But this next one is a huge one. It can heal allies with the 3 blocks that gives 2 stacks of strong hearts, which reflects debuffs based on the amount of stacks, which is a maximum of 3 that cannot be dispelled. So if you guys don't understand that, think of it as Resensio's talent stacks, but instead of just being immune to debuffs, you'll be reflecting them. And the fact that this only has a 2-turn cooldown makes this very powerful. And if you carry her other new skill, it'll be back even faster. Also, the new soldier that she gets is Shrine Maiden, which is kind of funny because I always thought she always had that. So, just like the 2 other main characters, they gave Almeda SP form some justice, being able to use a really good skill that's very similar to Resensio, while also carrying other good healing skills like her 3C. SP Almeda is now much capable as a solo healer in PvP, and even some of the content in PvE. Being a debuff machine, being able to dispel more debuffs with even better healing skills. A very good improvement overall. In this update, we'll be getting our last component, that is Vidar. This will be marking our 9th component. By the way, these are rough translations, so I'm gonna try my best to make it clear as possible for you guys if there's anything that's hard to understand. For the talent, after a normal attack, deals AoE damage to enemies 2 blocks around that enemy. When actively dealing damage, if on a terrain effect from an ally, then the target enemy will take fixed damage. Its first skill teleports enemy with the 3 blocks of the target location and can act again without losing its action turn, which can be done twice. Its second skill is an AoE that attacks enemies and also heal your team. The third skill, when using an AoE skill, the closer the target is to the center of it, the more damage that they take. When summoning Vidar, it'll spawn 3 blocks of your team and all enemies get a stack of selection for 2 turns. They'll lose a stack of it when taking AoE damage, then applies Thxs to their team within 2 blocks that increases the damage that they receive for 2 turns. When they die, those effects will be applied to their allies within 2 blocks. And to get more energy, you have to apply some terrains or deal AoE damage. I know it's a weird one and it may confuse you guys, so to say it in a simple way, it's an AoE focused component. So if you want an AoE bomb in something like in Timeless Trial, you can use this component to spread some of its debuffs so that enemies take more damage. Man, I can't believe that we already reached the final component. So what's next after this one? Who knows? But this should definitely take a break from like the stat permanent stuff. I feel like we're already settled enough having the last component and with level 10 casting. There's gonna be a couple of new soldiers. We got a flyer. Attack defense, magic defense increases. When they move 3 or more blocks, they deal a bit more damage. So yeah, just make sure that you use these guys right so that you deal a bit more damage. These guys are going to be really amazing to use. We have a Lancer. They take less range damage, and when on a non-defensive terrain, they have their attack and defense increase. It's weird how strict they are considering being on those defensive terrains are really good for better survivability. Like, I don't know how I feel about these guys. I guess in maps where there's like not much of those terrains, they can be alright. A global classic, they're giving us 2 more soldiers earlier than usual. I guess already at this point it's already normal. I haven't seen the soldiers yet, so I'm expecting them to be really good. Like, I want them to be really good. There's a holy one that has increased healing, and when using a skill on an ally, 100% chance to reduce the cooldown of a damage dealing skill by 1. Ooh, okay, yeah, so yeah, that's good, but I'll say only in regular content because these guys are not gonna help you survive. So yeah, really horrible in PvP because you're not gonna survive, but regular content, they're gonna be really good. The next on the list is an archer. So more attack. When on grassland or water, they are considered to be on a terrain with a 20% defense increase. Interesting. Okay, yeah, so depending on the map is where you want to use these guys. But my question that I got, can these guys move freely on water though? That's something I haven't seen yet. We actually got some new equipment this time. Been a very long time since we got some new ones. The new weapon. Now the actual description should be when forced into battle, defense is increased for each block the enemy moved, which is really whack. The new armor just reduces AoE damage, which sounds kinda good, but I'll say having single target protection is a lot more better. Plus if you have a ton of HP, then you should be surviving them anyways. The helmet here, which is tricky to understand, before actively entering battle, you add 8% of defense or magic defense, whatever is higher, to the other one that's lower. It would have been great if it was just in battle in general, but having to actively do it is really lame. Then with the last one, you guys are going to freak out over this one. So all stats increase, right? If you have not dealt damage on a turn, you have a 100% chance to get a +2 mobility for 1 turn. But if there's already a mobility increase, then it'll be a +3 mobility. This thing right here is dummy broken. So there's technically no real reason to maybe not carry Breeze on your chant. But it's only for 4 type of classes though, thankfully. But if it were me, I would honestly limit that to just Infantry and Lancer. It's gonna be so overkill on Bernhardt, and something like that on McLean is so privileged on him. That dude has stage control and is able to ignore guard. But there's actually gonna be a problem when it comes to these equipments, which I will go over when I talk about all the content that we're gonna get. For the exclusives, there's only one and it's for Nymph. Considering that they ended up making the previous equips and some of the other big stuff like SP Almeda and the last component, I can understand why there's only one this time around. It's a weapon. When her bubble is applied, the cooldown of all skills is reduced by 1. If she has a 3C buff at the start of the turn, she gets another stack of her talent counter. This right here is something that she needed desperately. If you guys don't know what she's all about, Nymph is a healer, like the actual first meteor healer. But the problem with her was that most of her skills has a high cooldown. So as a healer, they always need to be consistent doing that. So her having this makes all that a little less painful, with the batch of casting skills. First up is Kaguya. At the start of the round, if there's 2 or more allies within 1 circle, then the talent effect is reduced to 1 circle, which is very good so that you don't have to spread as far out to grab those for her, cause she really needs those in order to act again. Second up is Sissi White. Her healing effect is increased at the end of her turn. If she uses 3 or more war coins, then the ally with the lowest HP is healed then gets investments. This is also very good. Her healing has always felt really weak, so having this will greatly improve on that. Third up is Helena. When using a skill to deal damage, if she's on her own tile, there's a 50% chance to reduce that skill cooldown by 1 in 3 turns. Another amazing one to keep her damage consistent. Fourth and final one is for Thxs. When actively attacking and entering battle, she heals herself and gets a buff. It makes her self-sufficient, which is good, but I kinda wish there was something else in there for like more support, because that's what Thxs is. She's a support DPS, with support being her strongest suit. Like maybe after she attacks, she can apply one random buff to her team nearby or something like that. That's how I would've done her. But overall, all of these casting skills are really good and worth the pickup, with Thxs being the lower priority. So with all the banners that should be coming, a raid up with 8 on Kelmo, a fantastic magic attacker with the portal mechanic that can lead to some interesting plays. Her exclusive recently came out like a few months ago, which boosts attack and int to anyone on it. So it's a way to buff her and anyone else as well. Then we got a Destiny banner with Wilson in it. A broken healer, no more needs to be said. Can give out stacks of immunity buffs and has healing after taking damage. As for the content, these stuff I can't say for sure, cause ever since the Android update, Global is taking a weird direction recently when it comes to these stuff. Cause CN got completely different content that were announced when they got this update. In Global, so far as we know, Dimensional Expedition is coming back in the Battle Pass or Eternal Flame Forge, where you do get the new equips. If you guys want to know what CN got, they ended up getting the Forbidden Battleground, a new story chapter, and even Gate of Fate. There's no telling if Global would also get these in the update. Global has always been unpredictable when it comes to these like content, so maybe we'll get them all in this update at some point or in another update. But one big thing that we'll be having is level 75 casting level stages, meaning more casting materials. Another big change that we're getting is more gold from normal stuff that we do. So we're getting more gold from dailies, treasure runs, and even timeless trials. And even a change to how we get the burgers. They're still gonna pop up during the 12-hour limit, but if you miss the first 12 hours, it's still gonna be there to collect as long as you log in during that day. So yeah, if you missed out during the first 12 hours, you're still gonna be able to get 4 burgers every day, just as long as you log in during that day. Really good changes so far. I really like them a lot. The gold change is very much needed because everything is so expensive. This change though, mainly has to do with the level 10 casting costing so much gold in order to upgrade one level. Even bonds are like really expensive too. With the skins that we'll be having, of course we got the Echo Life for Eshean and Hoffman. Fancy looking attire, looking good, I like it. In the store, there's a skin for Mew and Landius. But Mew is available during the Android update. It got released a month early, so if you want it, get it right now before the update drops, if you're planning on getting it. When the update goes live, Landius sports themed skin will be available. And then with the Macho Lotto, there's a Z2 skin. I'm actually planning on getting this one. It just looks really nice, like I like the detail around the eyes. I think those look really good. But the skin overall though, I like it quite a bit. Actually, as of right now, I'm still deciding whether or not if I want it or not. But there you guys have it. That was about everything, if not most of everything that global players should be getting in this update. Some stuff may get added, some may not be there as we thought it would. Global most of the time is just weird like that. But yeah, Eshean is going to be the most hyped character to ever be released, ranking at triple S tier by the way. A ton of stuff in this update is insanely good. Like all the casting skills are really good, we're getting SP Almeda, a last component, especially more gold too. If you guys want to know what I'm hyped for, besides Eshean being OP, I'm really excited that we're getting our last component. It's about time that we got it, but I'm mainly excited for SP Almeda. It gives me a reason to finally build her. So yeah, I got everything planned out. I know what I'm going to be doing, how to build them. So yeah, I really can't wait for her and try her out. Because I've seen people barely use her, when in fact, she's really good. Like if you're making her a secondary healer, you can have her do some crazier stuff. So if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about this update and if you guys are going to be... Actually, why am I even asking? Of course you guys are going to be pulling for Eshean, one of the best characters to ever exist. Like how could you not have her? But anyways, yeah. Thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.